G'day and welcome to another episode of In the Driver's Seat with me, Greg Murphy. This is the podcast where we take a spin with some of New Zealand's most fascinating people and find out what really drives them in life and on the road. This is all thanks to our mates at AutoSense, providers of fleet and driver safety solutions, making roads safer for all New Zealanders. You can find them at autosense.co.nz. Right, today's guest is one of New Zealand's most adventurous storytellers. He's a roofer turned fisherman turned global TV personality. He fronted the ITM fishing show for 20 years. He dived out of helicopters onto marlin and somehow wound up on the Letterman show. Now he's blazing a new path online with Ultimate Fishing TV.
Invited some mates around for a barbecue, flicked the telly on, and it was like a Monday night on Sky Sport 7, 5 or something like that. And they're like, "Oh, is that you on TV? Are you on Gone Fishing?" I'm like, no, this is my show. What do you mean your show? Oh, it's my show. I made it. And it took about 10 seconds for someone to go, "Oh, you think you're fucking Tom Cruise or something?" Yeah.
From roofs to reefs and Letterman to YouTube, Matt Watson has lived a life that is as Kiwi as it gets. Before we get into the real deep stuff, let's go see what kind of driver he is. Safety first. This is what this pod's all about. It's about safety, Matthew.
Yes.
It is. It's about being safe. Health and safety.
Are you a Gregory?
That's the mode button.
Is that what your mother?
This is the problem when you keep getting in different cars all the time, isn't it? When people keep giving you different cars.
Well, I've actually got this. I haven't got the GR. One of these. I've just got the
standard
stock 300 series.
Yeah, the big trucks.
That was just straight out nerves because this is like okay. That one is Auckland traffic.
I've driven with you before,
and I know, but that
this
was
is Auckland traffic.
Before you were the
road safety.
Yeah, I think when I first drove with you, my idea of Murph was, I hope I can do a burnout to impress him. Now I'm just like, shit, I hope I check my mirrors regularly enough.
I'm not that kind of safety conscious.
Okay.
You know, I'm a little bit more, all encompassing. So when it comes to that, thanks for being here though. I'm a little worried, I've got to say, about your Auckland traffic sort of management. You're good to go.
I'm worried too. Well, good
That's
to go.
A stop.
Oh, it's a stop sign. I'm being cautious.
You are.
Pays to be cautious, Murph. Okay.
We actually might not. We might get everything done before we get across this intersection.
Okay. Well,
being that it's 5 o'clock on a Friday.
So I chuck the hazard lights on?
I think we're going to need more than hazard lights.
Okay.
So this could be as far as we go. We might just have to back it up and go back.
Okay, I'm going right here, am I?
We're going to go. No, we are going to go right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's some kind,
courteous
Aucklanders right there, stopping at the letting people through. Oh man.
That's a racing.
The drug dealer in the Murph there. He's not holding back. You're good to go. Go up the hill. It's good being an ambassador for a car brand, eh?
It is. Well, it is when it's Toyota.
Oh,
is that too pluggy?
Yeah, that was way too pluggy. Yeah, because I don't want to have to counter you with a whole lot of other other things.
Okay, so
yeah, she's a bit glary. Yeah. I mean, everyone knows you're a boat guy. You're not really a car guy. As in,
no,
you're not got a fetish for some things.
No, I don't froth. I mean, obviously, when I was a young fella, all other young guys, I was, I had V8s and all that kind of carry on.
Oh yeah. That was just part of growing up.
And then but I got out of that phase earlier than a lot of my mates, and vehicles then became about what they could do for me.
Mike Williams-Sevy and
am I going left next time?
Left up again. Sorry, it was like cool. Be all good.
He's dragging a Ranger there. They're not normally typically courteous.
Yeah. So you were winning back then, but things changed.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you froth over over a new bloody Staby or something.
Oh,
Staby? Are we Staby?
Yeah.
We're still Staby. Sorry, shit. Thank God.
Oh, look, I'll say this. Before we go left here, am I?
Yeah, we'll go left.
Before I'd even considered a career in media or going on TV, I had the Stablecraft boat, had Ferrino Electronics in it, had an Evinrude outboard who I was with until they folded a few years back. The only thing I didn't have was the Hilux, and that was because I couldn't afford it. But that was my aspirational vehicle. It was good. Like all the guys that I looked up to, my uncle, he was a commercial fisherman. The guys I used to go hunting with, dad's mates and all that, they all had cool Hiluxes with dog boxes. and it wasn't I remember having the chats with my mates, once I started like roofing and I'd been working with commercial fishermen. We didn't talk about like, what truck we were going to get. It was like, when I get my Hilux, I'm just going to go for a single cab, so I've got more room for the dog boxes, and then it was just like it was a given. And the group of guys that I was knocking around with, it was just, you were going to have a Hilux.
Yeah. You were living in that world, man.
Yeah,
totally. Oh well, it's very appropriate. How long did it take before bloody Toyota listened to your needs and came on board? How long has that relationship been?
That's been 17 years.
There you go.
So it's been a long-standing one, and it's and that aligns with all my other sponsors. So even being longer, like Stablecraft, you mentioned before, 20 odd years, ITM 20 odd years, and if anyone ever bails me up and says, okay, what would you really drive if you weren't sponsored? I said,
well, there isn't.
I didn't. I would. Yeah. This is probably the most shittest business thing ever to say, but like if Toyota said to me tomorrow, look, sorry Matt, we're cutting some ambassadors and you're one of the ones getting being cut, I'm not going to run around.
You're not going to go and find another one? Yeah.
No, I'm not going, because
can you just do me a good deal before you leave?
Yeah, I would. That's exactly the control that I would have.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So where did you bloody cut your teeth on the driving thing? Where did you learn to drive?
Probably.
And what was it? What were you in?
It was a manual bloody 202 HQ, my uncle's ute, and I wasn't supposed to be driving, but I used to do some work for him, so I actually learned to drive and tow a boat at the same time when I was about 13 or 14, and that was mostly just like moving the boat around his yard. Or sometimes maybe he'd been out with his mates and they were a bit boozed.
Was that 3 on the tree?
Yeah. No, sorry. No, it wasn't. It was on the floor.
Oh, was it?
I think it was 4 on the floor.
4 on the floor?
4 on the floor, yeah.
Oh.
Single cab, single bench seat in the front. I used to hate it because normally I'd be the guy sitting in the middle when we were going away fishing somewhere, and I was 14 or 15. I used to work on my school holidays, and both my uncle and the other crewmen would be just smoking darts the whole time in a single cab, like in those days. And if I did do something like this, like pull my jersey up, they'd go, "Oh, you puffed up," and blow smoke in my face. So I had to look like I was kind of enjoying it.
Oh my god!
So,
we didn't have. I mean, basically the fans and stuff back then was so. I mean, there was no bloody. I don't even know if there was recirc.
It would be. I don't know. It was winter, mate. It was winter. The windows were wound up, and the ashtray was just constantly smouldering. These commercial fishermen, mate. They lived on instant coffee and darts. So no, they weren't terribly fond memories. But that was the same truck that I first drove in, on the basis, because it was my mum's youngest brother.
Yeah.
On the basis that I didn't tell my mother that I was driving that truck. And then I think it was a Toyota Corolla station wagon, which was mum's company car, that I learned to drive in. And again, that was 4 or 5 speed manual. So
in company car, so that was dodgy.
Yeah, that was dodgy.
Yeah, you weren't on the insurance, but
no, I wasn't. No. And then
it sounds very familiar to me growing up too, with because my old man had company cars all the time, and there was no way I was supposed to be driving that.
Yeah.
This
was more like a delivery wagon. When you say I say company car, she worked for like the Sun newspaper that was around at the time, and it was just like an open station wagon for carrying bundles of newspaper.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a flash wagon, and I think my dad was terrible with cars. Like, he changed them more than he changed his undies. But I think he would have had some form of V8 at the time, and he wouldn't have wanted me to drive it. So.
What'd you own, man? What was it?
Well, my dad was a fireman.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think they would do like 4 days on, 4 nights on, and then 4 days off.
Yeah, right.
And on those 4 days off, Dad's hobby was go for a drive down Tuckanini. We lived in South Auckland where all the car dealerships were.
Yeah.
And if he saw a car he liked, he'd swing in there and go just for a chat. And I was with him when he just going to swing in there and, oh, look at that car, we'll go and have a talk. And we'd drive out in that car. And,
is that right?
Yeah, and Dad
that was his hobby. It was almost like a hobby.
No, they just saw him coming. And we didn't have a lot of money, and
Yeah.
And geez, I remember some of the discussions.
A professional fireman wasn't exactly.
No, it wasn't huge money, and there was 3 kids and the mortgage and all that. So I can remember some of that. I would be cringing, shrinking in the seat. My first thing was, wow, this is a cool car, Dad. It's got a V8 and it's loud and it's cool. And then I thought, I know what Mum's going to say. Yeah. And he was saying, boy, did you see how much money it said on the card in the window? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh my God! How about that?
Yep.
That's funny.
But I've kind of like been the opposite of that. Well, since I went through my like V8 phase in my early 20s, vehicles have all been about work, because I started a roofing business when I was like 19.
Yeah, right.
And I did have one of my V8s, the Purple Death it was called. It was an HQ factory V8, but it was a rear one because they had the twin headlights, the Statesman front on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I looked everywhere. I bought it off this joke over in Albany, and when I got there, it was all just primer, panel beaded. There was like a wrench, some vice grips to put it in. It was an automatic transmission, but it had just a set of vice grips, and I drove it home on a beer crate. Anyway, the first corner I went around, I fell off the friggin' beer crate, didn't I?
I'll go on the left.
Oh, yeah.
Go straight down. We'll go around to the left. I'm really good at directions.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's all good. Here we are talking about road safety, and I was driving.
We haven't crashed into the back of that Kiwi, so that's okay.
I know. So I managed to get it home where I actually put actual seats in it, and did it all up. That was in the day where everything was on the trade and exchange. Buy all your car bits.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't ask too many questions to some of the people when you bought some car seats. I'm like, aren't these out of like seats? And where's the the Pajero? Because these are Pajero seats. Oh, I don't worry about that. My cousin had it here, but
it was wrecked. Yeah. You had to do the old bloody graduated licensing system then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Started with the
you failed? Just go straight through?
No, I went straight through. Yeah. I was pretty fastidious. Like I was, as a young fella, like same as at school, I took all of that kind of stuff seriously.
You did take it seriously?
I did, yeah. I did. Oh, well, when I look at my mates, I'd go and do a few skids.
We're going to go left down the line.
Okay, sweet, mate. I'd do a few skids and that when I was a young fella. But to be honest, I grew out of it pretty quick, and I was always like the nana when my mates were being idiots. Like,
yeah, but you started a business early.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I had to.
Where did that come from? Where did how did you get into the roofing side?
I got into I was going to be a commercial fisherman and work for my uncle that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Because I'd done 3,500 commercial sea hours before I'd finished school. So I worked all my weekends and school holidays. And so that was enough sea hours for me to sit my skipper's exams. Only we finished I finished school and I'd made a bit of a deal with my uncle that I was going to go and sit my skipper's ticket and I was going to skipper one of his mullet boats, and that was me for the rest of my life. But that Christmas, literally the Christmas that we...
that was all going to happen.
Yeah. We got into a punch-up on Christmas Day over backyard cricket. And that was the end of my fishing career.
Jesus!
Yeah, I was an ugly scene, mate. Jeez.
Well, there's some serious
heated,
serious shit when it comes to backyard.
Yeah, family sport.
Goes
straight through. Yeah. So that ended my commercial fishing career.
Far out.
And my auntie's boyfriend was a roofer. And I didn't even know what he did for a job.
Yeah.
But as I was sitting there chewing my Christmas turkey,
Okay,
and I ate it, my lip was out here from being whacked with a cricket bat. And
it was very quiet.
And I was thinking to myself, well, all I ever wanted to do was be a fisherman, and now I'm going to have to go to uni because that's what Mum wanted me to do. Oh my God.
And then my life's in turmoil.
Exactly. And then so when my auntie's boyfriend pipes up and says, oh, I guess you're not going to be working for your Uncle Ian, why don't you come work for me? I said, yes, sweet.
What do you do?
Yeah, well, I found out when I turned up at his place the next, after the Christmas break, and he was a roofer. And I was like, sure, this is cool work. And then after a year of doing that, and it was hard work, I thought, well, if I'm going to be working this hard,
I might as well do it for myself.
Yeah, and I came into a bit of money, like $9,000 to be exact, for I had a really bad rugby injury, and they misdiagnosed the broken bone somehow, and it should have been operated on straight away, but they didn't at Middlemore. So they ended up ACC gave me a payout for medical misadventure for buggering my shoulder, basically, which is still to this day screwed. And so I was going to go and spend it on a car. It was like $9,000. You're 18 years old. What do you do? And I thought, well, no, I'm going to use it to buy a tile elevator. And I've already got a ute, and I can buy some more tools and build them up as I go, and I'll start a roofing business.
How about that then?
Yep. Best thing
isn't that just like, that sliding doors, eh? It's a sliding doors freaking moment right there.
Because if I'd gone and got that bloody
you'd still
V8,
be on the boat.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd...
If you hadn't had the punch up,
yeah, exactly.
You might be. Isn't it? That is the epitome of a sliding doors moment right there, isn't it? That's incredible.
Right. Where am I going here?
Keep going. Follow down to the left. Yeah. Shit. But how about that's hilarious. Well, it's sort of hilarious. Did you make up with your uncle?
Oh yeah. The following Christmas Day was the next time I saw him.
What and what another game of cricket or?
No, my mum banned.
She banned it.
My mum banned it. There's a 5-year standout. And and the year that it finally did come back, about 5 years later, we were playing cricket again, and I jokingly gestured to throw the ball at my uncle, and Mum pulled the stumps out, and we got another 2-year ban, another 2-year extension on our ban.
I like your mum already.
Yeah, no, to be fair, it was a pretty horrendous scene.
It sounds like it.
All the guys, buddy, and fisties on Christmas Day.
All of a sudden forgetting that they were family.
Yeah.
Mate, you must much prefer driving a boat than probably driving an Auckland.
Oh, absolutely.
Not as many incidents on the water. Although I'm picking you must have seen some. You would have a few good stories about boat driving.
I've seen some incidents.
Mostly is it mostly at the piers? And the boat ramps.
At boat ramps, mate. There's
a New Zealand TV show there for sure.
There is absolutely, like, the Muppetry on display.
So good. Entertainment plus.
I can tell you.
And maybe you should do a little offshoot, but you need to, wear a disguise.
Yeah, there you go.
Matt's boat ramp bloody special.
See, Murph, that's why you're on the big bucks.
Yeah.
There's ideas
I could be your sidekick.
You could be the talent, actually.
I could be the one that's like, we could make some of that. You've seen that guy in Australia? What's his name? He's weird. He does these incredible.
Oh, William Powerfish.
That's him?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's so funny. Yeah. Could probably get beaten up too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. No,
what's the worst part about bloody? What's some of the worst things you've seen driving? Have you had some moments on the roads that have?
Yeah, I've had a few. Like, the worst ones are speed on the open road, like.
And where you live too, the miles that you've done,
and like my commute to work every day is about 40 minutes, and 30 minutes of that is on gravel, on metal.
Yeah, and
the speed that people are driving on these metal roads that obviously have been driven on metal roads, and you come around a corner and they're not expecting to see someone, and then you can see the whites of their eyes.
Yeah,
and they hit a mound of loose metal. And geez, the number of close calls, but even metal aside, like metal roads, man, people just overtaking in some stupid places, all to get one place.
Oh, you get nowhere.
Yeah, and you get to the next town and there they are.
Yeah.
In front of you. And I think that death-defying manoeuvre, it sounds like I know I sound like a bloody whinging old bastard, but
No.
I just think it's usually young fellas because they're fair, and I'll be like, you fucking little idiot, and then you get a rush of blood and you go, well, I hope it's just you that bloody crashes and you don't hit a family coming the other way. But then of course what I really mean is I hope no one crashes. But am I going down here?
No, go straight. Dodge. Yeah.
And I just think it's just so stupid, but it's just
I know.
I think it's
the way we're
nature,
built,
right?
It's the way we were built.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Giving kids licenses at the worst possible time wasn't one of the best things that was ever done.
Yeah, because it's a real young males are genetically predisposed to risk. It's actually part of all young
part of
animals are males. It is.
It's part of the development.
You have to take risks and be reckless to have a chance against the alpha males. The trouble is you add a car into that equation and a whole bunch of other people, and
well, it's just
take your risks on the footy field.
It's just not the realization of what the laws of physics when you all of a sudden there's a big piece of metal and then it's traveling at a certain speed and there's no realization of what goes on when you've got to stop that or change direction or maneuver it. Yeah, right. Oh, gee.
Oh, was that me? It was Orange, mate.
Oh, he's always freaking out.
Right.
He's obviously
Is he tweaking?
He's obviously having a hard day.
Is he on the crack pipe?
I don't know. He's got his old man next to him. He's like he looks about 90. He's freaking out completely. Anyway, here we go.
That was
No, it was orange.
That was Orange light, right? That's what I got to do. Stop.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
He's having a tough time.
I think he's run out of crack. Possibly.
There you go.
Sorry, no, I was thinking I shouldn't say that.
We can edit that bit out. Mate, you would have done amount of Ks. Just think about the amount of Ks that you've done towing boats.
Yeah.
Just hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Ks.
Or and some from Bay of Islands to Waiho Bay.
Yeah.
So not sweet roads, big miles, and it is a lot of extra concentration. When you've got 3 ton on the back.
And it's right on maximum width.
And narrow, windy roads. Yeah.
Have you clipped anything with your boat trailer?
Road cones, yeah.
No,
seriously.
Yeah, but that's because the road cones are freaking they put them inside the minimum width or the maximum width. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, they literally have been placed.
Yeah.
I was when they recently had the Bryn Derwins closed, and I had to tow a big trailer back from Auckland.
Yeah.
And they had all those one-lane bridges. And they had these really switched on guys sitting in deck chairs alongside for doing God knows what to watch the road cones. And so I pull up and there's road cones. There's no way I'm going to fit through. And I look at the guy and he just gives me this one.
Yeah.
Well, okay, fuck it, I'll drive.
All right, then.
And then he was chasing me up the road with the road cone dragged that was stuck under my guard. So, the tyre eventually spit it out. And I was waiting for the letter but I'm like, what was I going to do? There's a queue of traffic. Old mate didn't want to get out the deck chair and move the road cone.
Yeah, because it's a competition, I'm sure of it. It's a competition on, one, how annoying can I possibly make this for people?
Yeah.
And, and then everything from there on. But, yeah, it's... And then it's every other person that's... getting the shits, and then passing you exactly when they shouldn't.
Yeah. And you do notice that, and I understand it, and hands up, I've probably been guilty of it too. You see a vehicle towing a trailer, and you're like, oh, that guy's going to be slow. I've got to get past him at the next opportunity.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore, but I have thought that, and I've definitely experienced it and been on the other side of it. Land Cruiser like this tows a 3 ton boat.
Easy.
I'm not going to be going slow. I'm going to be keeping up with everybody. And people say, oh, that's a big boat. this guy's going to be
And
slow.
there's 40 metres of white dotted lines. I'm sure I can get past.
Yeah. Well,
While the
we're
blind
already
corner
doing
fucking-
90 clicks.
With the blind quarter turning up.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Right.
and I think truck drivers get the same thing.
Oh, they do. Yeah. Well, geez, other than getting abused,
Mate,
you did well.
I just want to get this thing into park.
And get out.
Yeah, and get out and have not hit anything. I'm going to get around there.
All right, let's hit the studio because things have not finished. There's more to talk about. Well, welcome back. All right, thanks, mate. Good drive. You actually had to deal with the worst possible timing of all the guests. No one's had to experience 5 o'clock Auckland. Actually, it wasn't that bad, eh?
It wasn't so bad.
No, I was a little surprised.
I was dreading it. And of course, you know, Land Cruiser's a big truck too. And streets, particularly around this part of town, pretty narrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm pleased it's over. It was, I was really having to concentrate because, you know, you're talking
babbling
to me and it's, which is fine. You know,
It was actually a test. It was actually a test to see if you could pass me constantly barraging you with questions while we were in 5 o'clock traffic. Anyway, you had the hardest of the 10 people, so well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you were fine. Yeah, I could tell you've
fine. That's like coming from you, Murph.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
That's like teeing off in front of Tiger Woods and hitting the fairway.
There you go. Only 50 metres, but you still hit the fairway.
Hit the fairway. Yeah, exactly.
Mate, how's life? It's changed a bit in the last little while.
It has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Real good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never better, mate.
Does it feel like, changing tack? Does it feel like you've got weight off your shoulders, or you're piling it back on in another way?
Well, I am piling it on in other ways, but I've gotten rid of something that was just like having deadlines. I've still got just as much commitments, possibly even more, arguably. But when I guess I've been doing fishing media for a long time. I've got a lot of trust with my sponsors that, hey, I'm going to get it done. But I'm not having to work to a TV network schedule. I'm not having to work with their rules. And let's just say we didn't always see eye to eye about what good content was. So just having the freedom to do what I want reasonably to my schedule. I'm not just going to say I can get up and go, I'll put that off another couple of weeks because, the people.
But that's not the kind of person you are.
No, I'm conscientious. I've got to say I am conscientious. If I say to somebody I'm going to do something for you, I'm going to do it. But it was always so much more difficult when there was a third party being in there. And when I say third party, I mean TV network, and I'm not necessarily giving them shit. They're all doing their jobs.
But they were a integral partner at the time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's been interesting to see how that world's kind of unraveled. Like I did see the writing on the wall 10 years ago for Tally, just the way media was moving, developing.
Yeah, and digital was going.
Yeah, and so I started my an app, which everyone said, and it cost a fortune back then as well, to like get an app that hosted video and started our own platform. Because I thought, well, when the day comes, I'm not going to make television. I don't want to be starting with 0 people that have heard of a platform. So I think it was like 2016 or 2017, I started the Ultimate Fishing, video on demand app, website and a bit of social media to go around that. So I think when I wound up season 20 on TV, between our social media and subscribers and app users, we had like 850,000 people. So we weren't just going in
in blind.
Yeah. So it was a good transition. I'm trying to think of some negatives for doing, like, to balance it against, but there's honestly none. I don't. Well, some of them would be I still get bailed up by people, and like particularly where there's an older demographic. Like I'm going to the rugby on the weekend, and I know there's going to be guys coming up to me going, "Why aren't you back on TV? Why can't we see? We love seeing you on TV." I'm like, mate, you've got a smart TV.
They only see that side of it. They only see that part of it.
I'm like, mate, you can. like, why aren't you making any more episodes? I'm like, I am. They're coming out every other week.
Yeah.
And if you want to watch them on your TV, they're 2 clicks on your remote. Go to YouTube, go to Ultimate Beach, save it as a favorite, or go straight to our app, and away you go. But then, no, I don't. That's all. So get one of your kids to do it, mate. Like, it's not that hard. So I would say that would be the single negative, is that, like, we have had some of that audience drop off at that end, but we're growing it in other places, and we're well over 1 million now, followers and subscribers. So
it's amazing, eh?
Yeah, happy days.
Even though you were under that pressure, and I understand it, having to deliver, schedule and all that kind of stuff, did it also then sort of mold you a little bit into that kind of being that kind of person on delivering? And do you think that helped you over the years to, for other reasons, sponsors and things, or were you already built like that to start with?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. Like, there is nothing like a deadline to make you get out of bed early in the morning, and to motivate your team around you, because it's not just me, right? So that is a good thing, but it is a constant wait, and that can interrupt the creative kind of process. You get to a point where you're like, that's got to be good enough, not like
I can't go and do that again. I would like that to be better, but
exactly.
And I'm picking you're one for making things. Well, I've been with you when you're doing it. It's got to be right.
It's got to be right. Yeah, exactly. So, you make I think we made. This is TV. This is not including our digital content. We broadcast 426 episodes on television, and people say to me, "Oh, well, how many times you go out and get nothing?" Once. There was only once we went out on a shoot, and I was like, "No, we haven't got enough to make a decent episode."
Once.
Yeah, once in 426. So pretty good strike
pretty good hit rate.
I mean, some are better than others, and the difficulty was that you go out some days, and I think this is the allure of fishing as something that's entertainment. People that are into fishing, they will watch someone pull a fish out of a friggin' toilet bowl. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But our audience grew well beyond that. And I was talking to some media just this morning, actually, and they were saying, not interested in fishing, but your passion for it was the hook. Other people, it was like, it was the places you were going.
And the visual.
Like the visual. And someone was like learning about the fish, and then how to cook them, and all these, and the places that you go. So there was a whole lot of different reasons for people to go, to watch it. The thing for me is that, reality television became popular because it's like supposed to be unscripted. And I've had a little bit of a look behind the scenes, and it's not as unscripted as it might seem. But when I'm going out fishing, I've got a plan, but it's the ocean. Like, I might be targeting a kingfish, a great white shark could come along. And to me, that's the purest form of reality television. When the camera crew don't know, the hosts don't know, the people don't watching. So you're thinking on the fly, and things are happening on the fly. So some days you go out and you think, geez, the fishing's a bit slow, it's a bit rough, and something incredible happens, and then you capture that on film.
Cannot predict.
And now all of a sudden you've got that as a benchmark. Like people are like, the drama of that moment, and how it was like, that wasn't rehearsed. That happened.
I didn't plan that.
Yeah, I didn't plan for the line to get.
When we did that show, and we'd been out, and I mean, with Marshy, and we picked stuff up. We were done within an hour and a half, I think, right? Because you just went to the spot. We threw down lines, and boom, up came these most incredible fish, right? And then we were like, we've that's enough. We don't need any more. We've got heaps. And then on the way back, you spotted those tuna.
Yeah.
And off you went. And then one strike, and you got that tuna.
Yeah.
And then you couldn't get another one.
It didn't always work like that, though.
I know.
On that day, that was one of those days. Everything beautiful.
Yeah.
Few surprises.
But it didn't need to. There was no design by it. And there was a billion reasons why it shouldn't happen, but it just did.
Yeah.
And you've got hundreds of examples of how that worked. But again, it's unwritten, it's unscripted, it's unplanned in that respect, and then you get to something that's gold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So like,
it's amazing.
That's what I say to people, is that, watch our stuff and there's all this exciting stuff, but go and do it yourself. Like fishing's I think is the last thing that we've got in a modern society where there is you're in an uncontrolled environment and, there's some very real thrills and some very real dangers out there. Like, you could say, look, I'm going to go bungee jumping on the weekend, and sure, that's exciting, but it's all controlled. There's the bungee's been tested, it's been fixed to the thing, and it's, and you'll get your photographs and you'll feel excited. You decide to go fishing with your mate, and you're going to get up in the morning, you're going to have an imagination of what you're going to be catching, and you're thinking about it. Before you've even left the boat ramp, some orcas could turn up chasing stingrays. There could be a shark comes and eats your fish. Like, all of these incredible things can unfold, and then you're back to the boat ramp, boat on the trailer, and you're back in suburbia. And to me, it's pretty crazy that the ocean is wild and uncontrolled off the coast of Auckland before there was a city there. Like the ocean doesn't go, no, just because we're close to town, I'm going to be a bit more tame here. And
right on the doorstep,
it is.
You can be sipping your latte bloody on the wharf there, and whammo, something's,
I know you might be sipping a latte, Murph.
Oh.
I'm not a latte guy. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
I feel really bad now.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry.
I wanted to be like you, man, and now I'm clearly not.
Just giving you shit.
But
mate.
you're right. That's exactly. Yeah, it doesn't pick and choose just because of what might be on its doorstep, does it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, this is me just spitballing on trying to understand why the show was such a success for a long time, and that's what I put it down to, was just that it was pure reality television because it was real.
And it just delivered what it delivered. It just happened to be.
Yeah, dead right.
So how did a bloke that started a roofing company, how did you bloody end up? We've talked about what your dream was, and it ended up going off on this tangent of starting a roofing company and stuff. So then what determined and led it down this path of you throwing that away and going, you know what, I'm going to crack into this, into making TV and going fishing as a full-time professional TV showmaker?
The reason was because I wanted to be a fisherman. Okay, so growing up, all I ever wanted to be was a fisherman, and to me that's being a commercial fisherman, like my uncles were, like my grandfather was. I think I touched on it when we were driving. That commercial fishing career came unhinged. Unhinged is a good word. Christmas Day.
Buy a cricket bat.
Yep. Punch up over a game of backyard cricket. Had another uncle that was so I just went and worked for him purely because I didn't want to go to university. Just didn't want to be at school. So I did that, liked it. And while I worked hard as a roofer and built a business quickly, and looking, it's only now that I look back. I've got kids. I've got a 20-year-old son, a 23-year-old daughter, and they're telling me, one in particular, about how hard it is out there at the moment. And I'm like, I had a freehold house at 23, and I started my first business when I was 19. I had 11 staff by the time I was 21. So that doesn't wash with me. And yes, house prices and all that have got up, but I guess at the time I just thought it was what you do, right? Okay, I've got a chance, I can start my own business. Yes, it was hard. Yes, there were times I thought, shit, I'm going to go bust here, but you just problem solve on the fly, pick up another couple of clients here and there, and you keep working. Yeah. So it didn't feel abnormal. And 2025, looking at, 20, and I'm not shit talking the millennials or the, what are they now, Gen Zs, but I'm just thinking, wow, that was a bit different compared to what I'm used to. My mates were finishing uni at 21, and some of them have since gone on to do well, but they were finishing university with $80,000 worth of debt.
There you go.
Going into a middle management job, and I had a freehold house because, like, as I said to you, I was close to spending it all on a V8, at a couple of times along, but I thought, no, I'll buy a house. So, yeah, this whole time I was roofing and I had this business, I never gave up on being a fisherman. I was just going to go about it differently. I was just going to be the hardest working roof tiler there ever was, and I'm going to buy a big boat one day and take people on fishing charters. And, I worked out with the way my business was going and how much money I'd need to make to be able to move north and buy a freehold house and buy a charter boat. I was like, I'm going to be working hard as a roof tiler for a long time, right? And then, one day I had an epiphany when I had a bit of an accident at work. And it was a Sunday, and I'd been working 7 days a week, and it made me think,
what the hell am I doing?
What the hell am I doing? Bloody, I was literally sitting in my truck, bloody bleeding from the nuts because I'd cut my nutsack open on a bit of bloody guttering. And my mates ring mid me doing first aid.
To yourself?
They rang my cell phone, and God knows why I answered the cell phone, because I was literally halfway through a roll of insulation tape, taping my nuts back together so I could drive to the medical centre. And it was and they'd hooked a triple hookup of yellowfin tuna, and they rang me to tell me 8:30 in the morning, and I could just hear them beside themselves with excitement. I could hear beer bottles clinging together. I'm like, mate, my mates are out on the water catching big tuna and drinking beers on a Sunday, and I'm at work stressing about getting all of this work done for Fletcher's by the end of this week, and that's why I haven't had a day off for the last 40 days or something. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do this for another 10 years.
To be able to go and do what they're doing?
Yeah, right now. They're doing it right now.
Yeah.
They had these things called weekends. It's like, so in between driving to the medical centre to get stitched up and then back to I literally thought while I was driving about how I was going to, remap my path back to fishing. And it was to, get my hours signed off, get my skipper's ticket, and I'll just go and get a job driving someone else's boat. And I'd get my brother to run my business while I put the house on the market, sat my skipper's exams, and then went over to the UK to do my OE. I had a mate over there who promised to play for his rugby club, so I went over, played some footy, did my OE, and in time to get back for the next game fishing season. Sorted out the house sale and everything, and then it was just, I guess, telling my girlfriend that was the new plan.
That was the hardest part.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I vividly remember coming in that day, and the first thing she said to me was, "Holy shit, there's blood all over you. What happened?" So don't worry about that.
That's not the big story.
I said the house is going on the market tomorrow. Going to get butted up. Everything that I'd thought of. And then, I'm going to take off and go on an OE, and I'll be back by next game fishing season. To which she said, I'm not sure if I can get the time off work to go to Europe. And I was like, it doesn't matter, you're not coming.
Yeah. You've misread this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, it all worked out well, obviously, because we're married, got married, still married.
Yeah.
It's that was 27, 28 years ago, or longer maybe, yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, so it was just a different way of attacking it. And
so how did the idea come about? Bloody filming this stuff?
Because that was just to go fishing. Yeah, to go filming again. Like I loved working on game fishing boats. It was hard yakka. You're on, if you broke it down to hourly rate, you're on less than minimum wage for the hours you work, because I was on
sounds like racing car mechanics.
Yeah, I was on $110 a day when I started crewing, and we're doing liverboard trips. So, a typical morning, you're up at like 4:35, and if you're not getting all the gear ready, you're cooking everyone a cooked breakfast. And then, of course, all those dishes need washing. You've got guys tangling lines and, triple hookups of marlin and bust-ups going on everywhere, and you're running around, and then you're back into the galley to finish cleaning up, and then it's time to make lunch for everyone, and then everyone's on the piss on their boat because they've had just a great day pulling in marlin. So then you got to wait for them to go to bed so you can tidy the boat up again. You roll into bed at 1 and you set your alarm for 4:30 and you do it all again.
How many days did you bloody do that before you bloody decided?
So our
something else was better.
Well, it wasn't, but the reward was big enough to do it.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, and the words ring in my ear that the first skipper that offered me a job, And he said, do you really love fishing? I said, mate, I love it more than anything. He goes, to do this job, you have to really love fishing. Because it ain't, of course,
it's not just fishing.
If you were to believe, say, in a modern context, Instagram, fishing is cruising along on calm days, and then you get a fish and it starts jumping and everyone's high-fiving, on a big shiny boat. Well, that big shiny boat takes a lot of maintenance, polishing. You got to be down in the engine room, troubleshooting when an alarm goes off, tying, and all the while telling the client, oh, everything's fine, and you've done a repair with a bit of a rubber band and a bit of string just to hope the bloody engine keeps running for the rest of the trip. So it does have its stresses, but man, I got to meet incredible people. I got to see things out at sea in the middle, and not just in fishing. I'd be on watch at night, and we'd be becalmed, and a whale would just come and pop its head out of the water and look at you, and things like that. And you're all alone. You think, wow, my job. I'm out here in the Tasman Sea in the middle of the night, and there's squid swimming around the boat, and swordfish and sharks. So it was worth it. For all of the hard stuff, it was worth it. Where the whole TV thing kind of came along is, I started writing for fishing magazines, and that was great. I enjoyed doing that. And my mates that were into fishing would say, oh, I read your article. It was cool. And it was neat to be able to
share.
Yeah, get my experience and take a few photos and write it down. But my best mate didn't get it or understand it. That is my wife. She was just like, I'd try and get her to read some of I was like, I've got the cover issue in New Zealand Fishing News. And, and I'd say, look, here, I'll make you a cup of tea. I'll just relax for a bit, have a read. She'd get halfway through the first paragraph and off it goes back to woman's not interested in fishing. Yeah. And it wasn't until we had a handy cam and I took it out on one of the boats I was working on and just started getting some footage, mainly from my own, look at that, this is cool. And also did a wee thing where nutted out how to get underwater footage of marlin coming up behind a boat. And the first prototype that I built was actually out of a mag light torch, and got a security camera inside it, and figured out how to get power to that, and then a video signal out.
Still sealing.
Yeah, and sealing it all up with bloody bits of silicone and O-rings and going to the engineering store and, basically made it in the shed and then getting it to swim stable.
What do you reckon? To 19 what?
This would be 2000. No, this would have been 2001.
2001. So
2001, 2002.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
24.
No such thing as GoPros.
Yeah.
GoPros didn't exist.
So she's maybe, do you think maybe you could have been the GoPro? Imagine that. Imagine if you thought about making cameras.
Could have been. I don't know. It was all, everything all boils back to fishing and just wanting to nut it out. So that was the motivator. So, I was getting this footage, and then I was just sitting in the living room once, and because when I was away at sea, working, my wife's holding the fort with two kids, and we're living in a place called Taco Bay down a long gravel road, a long way from her mum, and our families, so when I got back from sea, I might only have a day. Sometimes I wouldn't even get to come home if we're doing turnaround trips.
In between,
and I could only see my kids if Kayleen had the opportunity to drive 30 minutes to the jetty so I could see them.
At the right timing.
Yeah, as we were refueling. So and that was tough on me too, but nowhere near as tough as it was on Kayleen. But one day I'm just sitting in the living room, must have had a day off in between trips, and I was watching some of the footage.
You had some of this plugged in on the TV?
I was just playing it on the TV for my own shits and gigs. Yeah. And maybe subliminally I was trying to get my infant kids hooked into it as well, because my wife didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
She couldn't give a flying rats about fishing, doesn't care. And unbeknown to me, she'd walked into the living room behind us and she was like, what the hell's on TV? She goes, look at the size of those fish. They're jumping in the air. And she goes, they've got like a big sword. What sort of fish are those? And I'm like, they're marlin. She goes, do you catch any of those? I'm like, that is me.
Yeah.
And she was like, is that you down there grabbing a hold of that thing? I'm like, yeah. And all of a sudden, she was asking
hooked.
questions
she
like,
was hooked.
How big do they get? How do you do them? What do you pull them in the boat? And she was asking all of these questions. I wouldn't say she was hooked, But for someone who I knew was completely disinterested in fishing,
couldn't get through, a few hundred words on a page.
Oh, hell
all
no!
Of a sudden.
Or let me get through 3 sentences.
Yeah.
Like I remember that when we discovered, if you like, the Wanganella Banks, we were the first recreational boat to fish up there, and we spent days at sea, and we found this mythical place, and it was riddled with marlin. So I came back absolutely frothing and come through the door, and I'd been away for 12, 14 days.
Oh.
And I'm like, she was like, how was it? And I was like, oh my God, you won't believe it. World record numbers of fish, world record size striped marlin. And she cut me off about there, and she was like, look at these. And she held up these miniature gumboots, and she goes, they were $40. Some brand of kids' gumboots. I got them for $8 at the warehouse.
Yeah.
And I might as well have said to her, oh, we've been anchored in the harbour for the last 14 days playing cards.
And drinking piss.
Yeah. Didn't matter. Like, didn't care. But when she saw the footage, and that set off a light in my head. It was like, well, if
I can make my wife
interested in fishing through pictures, through moving pictures, video, maybe there's something in it. And I didn't jump up at that moment, and it wasn't a eureka moment. I'm going to start a fishing show. It was some months or even years later. I was crewing, and I loved, as I said, going to sea. But I found myself feeling more excited when the skipper said, right, we're heading back in. Because I'm like, oh, good, I get to see my kids, get to see my wife, get to see how my bloody veggie patch that I'm growing is going, all of these things. I get to finish my projects in my shed, all of that sort of stuff. And just knowing that feeling, I was like, I still love the fishing just as much. I just wanted to be at home more. And I sat on the deck of the boat on this rainy, miserable day thinking, what can I do for a job where I where I can stay fishing,
all that stuff together,
where I can stay fishing. Yeah. I can have my own business again, because I like the challenge of having my own business when I was roofing, and something that maybe gives me a little bit more control. So as it was, if we got a booking for a charter, it didn't matter if it was my wedding anniversary, my kid's birthday, like
whatever,
my brothers and sisters' 21st, for instance, sorry, we got a charter. I can't be there. I'm letting the boat can't sail, because we had to have 2 qualified skippers on board.
Job.
So I was missing out on a lot, as much as I loved it. So I was thinking, what can I do where I stay in fishing? And I just thought, I could make a fishing show. And I just thought, and the moment that came in my head, I was like, well, that's what I'm going to do. So I'll just figure out how to do it. And I was so green. My next thought was, well, what do you need to make a fishing show? You need a proper camera. So looked it up. Okay, they're quite expensive. I'm going to need to get a loan to be able to buy this camera. And so wrote out a business plan.
So what was your first conversation with Kayleen about this?
Oh, it was similar to Kayleen actually has recited it back to me. I've heard her telling other people, and she said that the day that I came back from the bank, because they laughed at my business proposal that I was going to make a successful fishing show that was going to be sponsored, funded.
Yeah.
But they did tell me we had enough equity in our house to borrow $80,000 against it. So I was like, okay, sign me up. I just signed up 80 grand of debt. Came home and told my wife that at that stage,
I've just had a great idea, and this is what I've done.
Yeah. And she just said, you had the same look in your eye as when you came back from roofing covered in blood, saying that we're going to move, we're going to be living in the Bay of Islands in 6 months' time, and I'm going to be working on a game fishing boat.
So she never even thought twice.
She was just like, she was definitely like, what the fuck? But it didn't say it aloud.
Yeah.
But she was like,
what am
I? This guy's got that look in his eye again, and he's on a mission and he's got a plan. Yep. And then the plan was just learn real fast. We actually paid a guy early on to, come in. And when I say we, my mate Keza, he was the only guy in on it. So Kayleen, my wife, knew about it, my mate Keza. And I worked with Keza because he was the most computer savvy guy that I knew.
Yeah.
He set up my email account for me, my Hotmail account. That's how green I was. So he set me up an email account, because we're going to need that for business, right? That's how you communicate with sponsors, your email. So, and I told no one else, because I just didn't want to be that guy that's like, I'm making a fishing show for TV because I wasn't entirely sure I could.
It was going to happen, yeah.
But I was just like, I'll figure it out as we go. So the guy that we paid, who was a television professional, and it was expensive, that he was burning through that loan of mine
Fucking
pretty
flat
quickly.
out.
And to paraphrase, all my ideas were shit ideas. No, you don't film like that. That's not how you do it properly, Matt. No, that's not how you start a scene. That's not how you talk to a camera. That's right. And he basically just told me everything that I thought was a great idea was a shit idea. And I thought, well, nah, I don't want to pay this guy to tell me we're all shit. So I read the manual of the TV camera and just practiced with it. And then when I learned a bit, I taught a couple of my mates. And then we just went and filmed some stuff. And we got some amazing footage, to be fair. Like I got our wedding handy cam and made a housing for it out of a bit of drain pipe. And I was floating it on bits of polystyrene with baits hanging off of it. I was doing shit like tying live baits to my arms and jumping in with my drain pipe and getting marlin to come and eat them off my arms or come and try. So I was getting all this close-up footage. So it was good to have all that footage, but then you got to tell a story with it, right? So, I was going from jumping in the water and if you look back at some of our early series, I quite often had wet hair. And that's because in between pieces to camera, I was diving in the water.
You were in the water.
With a bit of drain pipe, filming whatever was going on as well. So, and to edit it together, we got some pirated editing software from a mate who was surfing over in Thailand, $5. And
it worked.
Well, it crashed the computer about 50 times a day because we didn't have enough RAM or whatever it was on the old home PC. It was the old boxy PC.
It was a big one.
It was the old big boxy bloody iMac thing in those days. So I got secondhand and like to anyone that hasn't opened up editing software before, it was just like, what the hell is this
shit? Yeah.
And when you ring Adobe support desk and you've got pirated software, they don't actually help you. They just wanted to know what our address was. So I was like, oh shit, hang up. So that was the level that we were at.
And so funny.
But we managed to cobble something together and I can just remember being so proud as punch of what it looked like. I actually thought it was good.
You've created this bloody little show reel. Right?
Well, an episode. Yeah. We created like an episode that would be a 30-minute. We even had the bits for the ad breaks. And I vividly remember putting together the credit sequence because me and Kez, and at this stage, we would do most of the editing at his place down in Auckland. And I was doing a mix of crewing jobs and farm fencing to pay the bills in between times, right? In the early days of Tightlines Media, Tightlines Television it was then. So, and because Keza had a flasher computer that only crashed about 7 or 10 times a day, I would drive down and he had a little spot in his laundry in his flat. So we were sitting in there and we figured out how to get text on the screen and make it roll, like a credit roll.
Holy.
And it was like, okay, cool. Let's do the credits. Cold. And it was just like, okay, presenter, Matt Watson, cameraman, Kieran Packer, underwater cameraman, Matt Watson. And we're like, well, that's pretty fast credit roll, bro. Like,
what else?
So, and we're like, what are the other jobs? We didn't know what the other jobs on TV
producers
were. So we literally flicked the TV on and it was and it was Days of Our Lives was on. We had to wait for the episode to end, and as the credits were coming through, we were writing down the jobs. I had the back of an envelope, Kez had a bit of refill pad, and I think we wrote down 15 things like lighting director, field assistant, executive producer, production runner, gaffer, like all of these. I don't even know what the fuck these people did, but we wrote down there, and then we just split them up 50-50, like who was, and then we thought, looks a bit amateur, bro, like Matt Watson, Kieran Packer. So we literally just put our mates into the credits. Yeah. Mates that didn't even know we were doing it. Yeah. So like half of my rugby team were in there as like executive producer and lighting director. The same guys that when it finally made it to tally, and I still hadn't told anyone, I just invited some mates around for a barbecue, flicked the tally on, and it was like a Monday night on Sky Sport 7, 5 or something like that. And they're like, oh, is that you on TV? Are you on Gone Fishing? I'm like, no, this is my show. What do you mean your show? Oh, it's my show. I made it. And it took about 10 seconds for someone to go, oh, you think you're fucking Tom Cruise or something now?
Your mate's great.
I know, yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
So much, so good for your ego.
And that's why you don't tell anyone in New Zealand, right?
And then what did you go? Hey, just wait till the credits.
No, but that was another surprise for them. And they stayed in there for about 4 or 5 years. And then when we actually did have actual people doing the real job, like, and these guys gave me shit throughout that 5 years as well, by the way, Mr. Hollywood, whatever. But the day that I think it was the start of Series 5 or Series 6 when their names came out of the credit, the credits hadn't even finished. My phone was ringing and it was Brandon. And he's like, who the fuck's this bitch Kate that's taken
So he'd seen his name.
Yeah, he was chuffed, mate. He actually thought he was production assistant.
He
thought he was production assistant. And then, of course, when
he got sacked.
Who's this Kate McGrath?
Yeah.
Like, So, that's literally how greenhorn we were.
How good. So who was your first pitch to?
The first...
Did you put a suit on?
No, I didn't have a suit at that stage. I did have a collared shirt, though. We made 3 VHS tapes, and we actually went... I specifically remember going to the warehouse and then thinking, if we want to look professional, we need to pay an extra $8 for the 3-pack from Kmart, which was the branded VHS cassettes. And we did 3 dubs. And one thing that did look professional was Kez was a graphic designer, so he made us a cool logo and episode pilot, put the sticker on, $1 million.
No brainer.
Put them in a courier package. One went to TVNZ, one went to TV3, one went to Sky Sport. Because that was it as far as broadcast in New Zealand went back in 2002, I think, when we sent those off, 2003 maybe. And along with it, a proposal saying, hey, we just want to get on air. It'll generate interest, and from that we'll, generate sponsor revenue, yada, yada, yada. That was the plan. No one called.
How long?
I gave it 2 weeks, I think. And I was like, I was got to ring. So I started ringing, and it literally all I had was the phone book.
Pages,
the phone book, mate. Like phone book, TVNZ, front desk. Who do I tend to... So it was several phone calls to even find the right person that might have received this tape. And really no one at any of them gave me the steam off their piss at all. But the first one the first woman I managed to speak to was at TVNZ, and she just said, look, I will watch it tomorrow. I promise. It's been there for a while. I'll give you a call back at lunchtime. By lunchtime, I would have had a look at it, because I didn't get that call at lunchtime. But I had a number by then. So I rang her at about 3:00 in the afternoon. I was actually down at Kez's place, and we were in the laundry cutting some more stuff. And she answered the phone, and she was kind of giggling away. And she said, "Look, we've literally just been watching it right now as you rang. We're about halfway through." I'm like, "Oh, good. What do you think?" She goes, "Oh, it's hysterical. We're all having a laugh." I'm like, "Oh, good. So that's our point of difference. We put a bit of humour in there." She goes, "No, we're laughing at it." She said,
she was quite happy to come at you like that.
Yeah. Her words were, "Fishing doesn't belong on television.
Yep.
And if it did, it wouldn't be this." She just said, "Look," and she gave me and this is true, what do you actually do for a job? I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm doing a bit of fencing work and fishing at the moment." She goes, "I suggest you stick to that fencing. Because," and she said, "Look, there's no future for you in this." And had a little giggle and bye-bye. So I was like, okay, well, that's
your opinion.
Yeah, and I just thought,
remember her name?
I do. I do remember her name, and I fucking want to bump into her. I really don't. I've been dying. Man, she's still around. She's still around. I see her name popping up in media every so often. I'm like, fuck, I'd love to bump into her.
Oh, that is gold.
Yeah. It
still in the game.
Yeah, she's in media anyway.
Yeah,
let's say I won't.
How about that?
I won't drop the name and call her out because
that is hilarious.
Yeah. But I'll bump into her sooner or later.
You would hope she remembers your name.
I don't know. It's probably.
I hope, because that would be something she would be keeping quiet.
I got the feeling. It wasn't the first person she'd burned. She was pretty good at it. Yeah. So anyway, TV3. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't even get a response.
Yeah.
And much the same with Sky Sport. So and the thing that I was left with, or me and Kez were left with, was we were told it was shit, but not why and what we can improve on. So we're like, well, what are we going to change? And, we don't want to go off on a tangent because I actually felt it was really good. Yeah. I just thought, man, this is good. What was wrong with it? So anyway, I was back at sea working on the Ultimate Lady, and we were well out of cell coverage, and we hit the New Zealand coast again, and phone beeps off with a few voice messages. And one of them was from a guy called Jeremy Hill, and he was the channel manager at Sky Sports. And he said, look, hey, we've seen your pilot show. We'd love to see you and maybe your production manager come in for a meeting.
Production manager.
And so I ring Kesler and go,
you're a production manager?
And I said, you're not executive producer anymore. You're production manager. And he said, what does a production manager do? I was like, I don't fucking know. But he said, bring the production manager. And very fortuitously for us, Kes was working in Yellow Pages in Penrose, and Sky Sports were like around the corner. Mm. And I only had one day between trips. I had to go back to sea. So I made the meeting for that day. And they wanted it for like 11, but I had to make it 12:30 because that's when Kieran started his lunch break. So I literally swung into the car park. He's standing outside having a dart, puts it out, and I said to him, right, Kez, how you might have to lead the way in this meeting. He goes, well, I don't know what to talk about, to say. And I was like, well, you tell me every other day when I message you that you're in a meeting. I've never been to a meeting in my life. And he goes, oh, I don't listen to it or anything. I just sit at the back of the room. And so we literally had a 2-minute drive to strategize how this meeting was going to go. And I said, look, we've got to get the conversation going so we can get an understanding, without looking too amateur, of what we did wrong. Okay, and then we can have a chance to make it better and hopefully one day have something good enough for tally. So I vividly remember we sat down, we got led into a room, and at this stage in my life, I've never been to a job interview. All my jobs have been word of mouth or working for myself or,
involved a cricket bat.
Yeah. So I'm walking in, and a big long board table is intimidating, and there's little coasters like this and a jug of water, and a lovely lady dressed very nicely comes and fills your drinking glass up, and then the old channel manager there's flanked by a couple of underlings, and they sit down at the end of this big table, and I'm thinking, geez, whatever we do, don't look amateur. And the first thing he said was, fellas, this is head and shoulders better than any fishing television we've seen from anywhere in the world, and we'd like 26 episodes. So
I need to pause.
Yeah, I do this one. And in the moment that I'm taking a sip of water, I'm counting the number of computer crashes. Like we had about 700 computer crashes to make one episode, and it took 11 months for us to cut that one episode. I'm thinking, oh yeah, well, maybe if they need them by 2037, we might have a series ready.
So at no stage, I'm probably preempting, but so had you not considered at that point that they might want to give you something to help you do that?
No. Well, we thought we might because, and I mean, people believe it to this day when people see me, like they would say, oh, don't you work for TV3 anymore or TVNZ? Like they think that the TV network.
Yeah, they got you to do it.
And they go, we're organising everything. Matt, here's a bucket load of money. Mm-hmm. You just go and catch fish. Yeah.
We'll send a crew.
Have a good time and we'll take care of everything else. No, that's not reality. We were since day dot, we've delivered finished product. And if anything, they've been a hindrance, to be honest, because you can't call a dolphin a gay shark, Matt. You're going to have to take that out. And, we've already cut it. It's like, but it's funny in our audience, who are we offending? The sharks? Shit like that. But anyway, so what I thought is we might get a bit of an insight, a rundown, like, okay, so production music, where do we get that from? And, do you guys pay the rights for that? And we didn't want to sound dumb and ask for that, but we basically got, here's the rules. We've got a couple of empty time slots you're going to go on in there. You're not going to get paid, but you're going to get 5 30-second ads, which you can sell to your sponsors. And of course, so at the same time now that I'm learning about actually how to make a TV show,
all of a sudden I'm going to have to learn how to bloody
market it.
and go and get sponsorship.
Learn about demographics, the value of a time slot, putting it together with, licensing, the uses of logos and all of that kind of jazz, and how much we were allowed to get away with in the editorial content of the show versus. So I was, here I was, a concrete roof tiler that wanted to be a fisherman, all of a sudden learning all of this stuff, as well as learning how to make media. And unbeknownst to us at the time, it was a blessing that I had zero media training, and that the guy holding the camera was my mate. So I was just, everything I said, I was saying to him. And it gave it this very real, and I only knew this after
authentic,
it had been on.
right?
It had been on. Yeah, people like, you talk to the camera like you're talking to me. It's like, well, I kind of talking to my mate, and I'm trying
I'm just narrating what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's where I was a fisherman making a TV show. I wasn't a television person making a fishing show. And that it worked. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, it was pretty tough for a few years. I had to go back to the bank again because we didn't get, any sponsors for our first season that wanted to give us money. I think we got a couple of hunting and fishing fleece packs.
Yeah.
I got a second-hand Tiagra reel that had been refurbished and a bait runner reel for free, brand new one. And I think a handful of Shimano T-shirts, which doesn't fund much production.
No.
So the first season was just the fishing show, sponsored by Matt's Mortgage. And we'd maxed it out, and so, but it got us on telly, and enough people saw it and thought it was good enough that we'd get another season, and we went to TVNZ for our second season, which increased the audience and made it easier to start getting some sponsors to start backing it.
Yeah. Did you get a phone call, or from someone who wanted to back it, or the first time, or was it you found someone?
No, I found someone. I was knocking on doors. Actually, and so funnily enough, in this research I was doing, and I had to pay for the data from AC Nelson, right? Okay, who likes fishing? Like building industry, because I was a roofer by trade. And I just know from being on a building site, all the blokes at Smoko were talking about fishing. Talking about fishing. So I'm like, right, it's got to be good. Did some research. Number one thing for tradies was fishing, followed by motorsport and rugby. But fishing was number one. So I'm like, okay, it'll just be a question of which building supply company really wants to grab this, because I'm going to be on mainstream telly for our second season. We've got a decent time slot. I was bleeding money, and all three of them said, no, not interested. Or, well, quite often what happened is that the marketing manager would go, oh yeah, this could be pretty good. It would get sent off to the advertising agency, and the agency would go, oh no,
be joking.
This is rubbish. Yeah. No one likes fishing, right? And that's
so they
really
they were good at doing their research.
Yeah. Well, it was really about, because it wasn't their idea, they can't make their 15% on top of it, and they don't want the company's budget being spent on something that
they can't tap into.
Yeah, that doesn't benefit them, right? So I've since learned that in hindsight. So I got knocked back by everyone, like including ITM, and I was actually at the Auckland Boat Show. On the end of the New Zealand Fishing News stand, because I knew the editor, just had with a TV of our new footage playing.
With stuff playing, yeah, right.
Yeah, and a joker walks past, and lots of jokers walk past and go, that footage is incredible. We've not seen anything like this before. I'm like, yeah, we've got a new series coming out. And one of the guys said, have you got a sponsor for it? I said, no, I don't, mate. Been trying. He said, have you spoken to ITM? I'm like, yep. It turns out this joker owns 7 or 8 ITM stores.
Wow.
And he said, you need to be speaking to the marketing manager and the CEO. And then anyway, he walked away. He was on his phone. He comes back and he said, oh, what are you doing tomorrow at 11 a.m.? I said, well, I'm going to be here. And he goes, no, I think you should be at the head office for ITM.
Up the road.
And he said, and take this footage with you. And I said, yep, okay, doke. So I went there and walked into another big boardroom table and, sat down with 2 gents, but I got a very warm reception. They looked at the footage and they said, when's it going? When's the season start? I said, it starts in 3 weeks. So they said, well, how are we going to get, logos, naming rights and all that sort of stuff? So went home that night and me and Kez designed the ITM Fishing Show logo that night, emailed it to them. we had to make a slight tweak, made it that day, and then we recut all the episodes, redid all the intros.
And stuck stuff in there.
And, and then they were the naming rights sponsors for 20 consecutive years.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it was just, again, that little rock, getting it seen by the right person. Yeah, and it worked. And then, of course, then just like happens in any other business, you're out there doing stuff, some doors open.
Yep, cool.
You make decisions on the fly. Some of them work, some of them don't. So, obviously being international and everything like that. And then I get, this is no bullshit, Murph. Like, I had an opportunity to take Greg Murphy and Justin Marshall out fishing, and that shit's still happening with various people, and that blows my mind. That because I decided I wanted to be a fisherman one day, and I went and did stuff that, looking back, was pretty bloody risky. The biggest payoff is, I get to meet all these incredible people. People want to come and be with you doing your shit. Yeah. It's because I guess they pick up that project that I'm loving it, and I am. I love it, man.
Yeah, but it's also because of this. Not that I know all the details of your story. It's full appreciation for what you're doing and the fact that you've created this amazing piece of production that resonates with so many people, and it's the way it was done, right? It was the way it was done because it was your way.
Yeah,
99%, and that you were the man that was guiding, leading, with your team and your people making this amazing content. It resonated with so many people, and it still does, obviously, right? And so the opportunity for all walks of life like me and Marshy and everyone else that's come and been on your show, it's just like, well, who wouldn't want to be a part of that?
Yeah,
because it's authentic.
It is.
Right? It's fully authentic. Yeah, pretty amazing. Eh?
Oh, mate, it's amazing, and it's when I'm doing this sort of thing and I'm saying it aloud that it makes me think about it. Otherwise, you don't, and you'd be the same. You just think about what you got to get done this week or next week or your next idea.
And it is part of it, but you when you reflect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So then reflecting on bloody diving onto top of a marlin and it bloody going global, and then figuring all of a sudden you get someone's somehow reaching out from the likes of the Letterman show.
Exactly.
I mean, did your brain go, what the?
Yeah.
When that happened?
It did, particularly given that it wasn't like it was a build up of interest, and it was the Late Show was my first ever interview.
Yeah. Right.
I'd never been on breakfast TV. I'd never done a proper radio interview other than the 6:30 a.m. fishing report on 1ZB that I only ever thought guys milking cows ever listened to, so I didn't, it wasn't like a media progression and it slowly built up and built up. It was just that in the background, don't get me wrong, I'd been on television for like 4 or 5 years in New Zealand. So hang on, so it was 2009 I was on The Late Show. And so, I'd been on television for 5, almost 6 years.
Doing your thing.
And hustling to try and get the TV network that I was making a lot of money for to give me the steam off their piss and give me a spot on 7 Sharp or something because I'm
promote myself on your network.
And I'm doing all this cool stuff and I've got a lot of interest through YouTube internationally, and they're just fishing. Run along. Stick to your little
stick to your knitting.
So
we know what we're doing.
So then, to have the Late Show and the same day, and legitimately, Late Show was first, but within hours there was Jimmy Kimmel. The other bloody guy is still going.
How were they even contacting
Jimmy
you?
Kimmel found my phone number, looked me up. Like I got rung in the Skyline garage that we called our office, but it was still our home telephone line, right? And so, and I had heard the phone ring in the night, but we had the old school answering machine. And so our first employee, Kate, who I mentioned before, who was production assistant, camera woman, accounts, everything. First job in the morning, she checks the answer machine, and I was actually out. I was letting my pig dogs out for a run. like I'd quite often do in the morning because they were tied up over by our studio. And I walk in there and said, oh, you got the jug on? She said, oh, there's a message on the answer machine from David Letterman's booking agent.
Did you even know who that was?
Yeah, oh hell yeah, I knew who David Letterman was, man. I was actually a fan. I was just super smart guy, you know. So, and it was like the biggest talk show in the world. Yeah. So, to which I said, nah, fuck.
Don't be stupid.
Nah, I said, there'll be one of my mates that are roofing over in the States, and they would have, and she goes, oh, it sounds like an American accent. I was like, they would have put someone up, just ringing me to give me shit, to see if I call the number back. So I said to her, you call it back. So, because if I ring it back, it'll probably be Clarky, and he'll probably be like, you dickhead, you didn't think you were going on Letterman, did you, Tom Cruise? So that's what I was expecting. But part of me hoped that it was real. And so Kate's got the pad.
There was a 5% just going.
It could be real. What if it is real? What if it is real? So I'm standing right next to Kate, and she just gives me this nod like, yeah, this sounds real. And then she wrote down on the pad, business class tickets *2. And that was me like, holy shit, I've never been business class. And I'm going to fly business class to New York.
To be on
the Late Show. So, and then she puts her hand over and she was like, okay, I'll just check. So she holds her hand over the phone. She said, they want to know what your fee is. So I knew nothing about fees because 5 years of being on television in New Zealand, and we were winning our time slot. In fact, we were the number 1 rating off-peak show, getting paid $0. And so I didn't know what a fee was, or a talent fee. So, and I didn't want to go too high because I wanted to get those airplane tickets.
I got to go on a plane.
Yeah, and I want to go to New York and go on the Late Show. So I said, 500. So tell them 500. Like, I didn't know, right? No, I didn't know. I tell them 500. And so she comes back and she was like, oh, no, I think the New Zealand dollar is actually less than the US dollar. And so I think they're trying to calculate it on. And I'm not sure whether it was, anyway, she comes back and she said, they want to know if that's per hour you mean. And if so, when would you start charging? And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to get paid proper money as well and get business class tickets. So yeah, and it happened and flew in front of the
What
plane.
did you end up doing? What did the deal end up being? How'd you do it? How'd you end up bloody then restructure your initial bloody offer of 500?
They came back with it was a fee, but they would do the airplane tickets and pay for the accommodation.
Yeah.
And so, it was just and they said, well, this is the amount that we pay for the second guest, because I was a second guest out. So it was but it was all just business for them. They just wanted me to agree to it. Yeah. And one of the things was they said, oh, look, you'll probably have a whole bunch of other shows get in touch with you, but we want a 3-week embargo on you doing any others outside of the CBS group. And I thought, nah. You're the first one ever. Fucking, I haven't even got breakfast TV at EVNZ ringing me.
Is going to call me.
As if anyone else is going to call me. But of course, hours later, they all started coming. And that was, of course, I had like the number 1 rated YouTube video at the time, and it had gone properly viral, and all the news networks around the world were playing it. So, and interestingly, when they booked me, they said, oh, David's a big fan of yours, meaning David Letterman. To which I'm thinking, okay, very lovely thing to say. You're making me feel better. And then throughout the process of when I was, talking to various people, they all finished with, oh, David's a big fan of yours. Been watching you for ages. And he's been suggesting at our meetings for a long time that you be a guest. He follows all your stuff online. And I was thinking, wow, so I was thinking back to when my mate said to me, oh, you should put some of your videos on YouTube. I actually said to him, what is YouTube?
Yeah. Yep.
It was still pretty new then. And so, yes, I was watching these numbers dial up and thinking, oh, that's pretty good, lots of people, but I wasn't getting paid. So it's like these guys, arseholes, are just like TV networks.
Doesn't mean anything.
Don't pay you. You know, it's cool to get all these comments and all that. But one of those people was David Letterman. So, and it got to a point where, all of the other writers or whoever decides, like he owns the company, said, okay, we'll get him on. And they tracked me down and
off you went.
Flew to New York, and in the middle of winter, over the, well, it was Waitangi Day, actually.
Yeah.
So 6th of February, which is middle of winter there, freezing cold.
Bloody
but
oath it is.
I was still rocking the jandals and short boardies. Yeah. So no, it was it was a very surreal
experience. Yeah.
experience. Yeah. Like, out of body.
Yeah.
At the end anyway, like I was so nervous I couldn't sleep on the way over. Definitely couldn't eat.
Pointless being in business class.
It was. Sleep. And my wife said, going, you get real plates and you can order off a menu. She was loving it. And she's talking to the hostie about the wine match, going, oh, you should be. I'm like, I can't eat. I just can't even look at the food. And I'm, well, me, I'm pretty unflappable. Nothing too much phases me. And as I'd said, I'd been on telly for 5 years, but I'm thinking, this is an uncontrolled environment.
You were controlling it.
Exactly.
You did whatever you wanted. And all of a sudden you're in front of us at someone else's frickin' show.
Exactly. And someone with a razor sharp wit. And I've seen him take apart like seasoned actors, like when he thinks they're getting a bit smug, he'll just pull them to pieces, right? Razor sharp. And it probably didn't help that the night before we left, I flick on the Late Show thinking, I'll watch it and I'll get some ideas on how to act. And the guests were Will Smith, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And these guys are cracking jokes with each other, like bang, 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 back and forth. And I'm like, and the crowd's in stitches of laughter and they're getting out of their seat.
And all of a sudden
I'm just like,
I
can't fucking do that.
I can't compete.
I can't do that. And so that's what brought, the nerves on. I'm just going to be like a possum in the friggin' headlights
and
in front of the whole world.
Who was that clown?
Who's this Muppet? And part of that worry was I wanted to represent my country well. Like I didn't want...
I'm going to let down my whole nation.
I know. I think
New Zealand's going to... Well, my show's going to be screwed when I get back.
That's right.
Everyone's going to... I'm not watching that clown anymore.
Yeah, you've bloody made us all look like a bunch of dickheads. So that was really made me nervous as hell. And my wife did a great job of just saying, look, everything you've done and why people like you is because you've been yourself. So just do that.
Just do that.
And that actually made me feel a bit better. And we went over there and it actually helped that it was so ridiculous that there's 2 feet of snow and I'm wearing jandals and the local New Yorkers are laughing their asses off at me. And I just about skidded over when we went into the backstage door and had met this lady, Anita, who was going to be my assistant, which I thought was just such a novel thing. What do I need an assistant for? Like, right? I'm just going to go up to the dressing room. Go on. But anyway, so I was starting to feel relaxed, and then the lift doors open, and straight in front of me was a door, and I was like, it had my fucking name on the door with a star above it, and I'm not shitting, my vision went blurry. Like, I thought I was going to pass out. Like, I'll jump in the water with a shark, no worries. Yeah, no worries, laugh. But I was just like, that, I was like, and then going into the dressing room with the light, like on the Muppets with all the lights around it, like Miss Piggy's mirror and all that, and then seeing all the food that they had laid on, I was like, this is a serious gig. Like, this is not my Skyline garage with some pirated editing software and a handycam anymore. So, yeah, it was daunting, but it went really well. And I just remember finishing it, and I don't think I'd slept for 40 hours or something, well, other than tried to catnap on the plane. And again, they put us up in a penthouse suite on Broadway in New York, and when you opened the curtains, you looked at the Ed Sullivan Theatre. So I just had to keep the curtains closed because it freaked me out every time I looked out the window. So I can just remember thinking, fuck, that's all done with. I'm hungry as hell, so I wanted to get into all the food that they had in the dressing room and then go out and tear New York a new one. But I had a meeting actually straight after that with the big boss at Discovery Channel, and they'd been trying to get my signature for a while, previous to even being booked on Letterman. So, yeah, it was, crazy night, and famously took a doggy bag from the Letterman show, apparently the first person ever to take a doggy bag. Because they were going to throw it all out. Yeah. They were going to chuck all the food out.
I'm like, hold on, can I,
And I wouldn't have taken it. And they said, oh, look, it's policy because Anita said, some diva accused the backstage staff of stealing the strawberries. Right. And so now there was a big inquiry from their Warner Brothers about it. And as a resolution, we've had to come with a promise that only the guests and their entourage can eat the food to avoid any confusion, and then the cleaning staff gets rid of it and throws it all away. I'm like, well, that's a waste. I'll take doggy bags, thanks. And yeah, took all the pastries, all the little salmon nibbly bits, and a couple of bottles of champagne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was there?
It was there, yeah. So
I'm going to get chucked away.
Yeah.
Far out.
So yeah, and that's when the out of body experience came, is going out into the cold.
Were you shaking? When you walked onto the stage?
It was, well, when I walked down to the stage, because I didn't meet him beforehand.
Just straight in.
There was straight in, like, I assumed I'd go there.
And
he would come out and we'd say, oh, this is what I'm going to talk about, this is what I'm thinking. And so I queried that, and they said, oh, no, he doesn't like to do that. Yeah. And they said, don't worry, he loves your stuff, and, it'll be a great chat. And they said, you would have done this 100 times. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, of course, 100 times. Yeah. Of course, I hadn't done it at all. So, yeah, they said, they took me into makeup. That was a new experience. And then they took me to the wings, and there's people running around everywhere and people with headsets on, and it was very cold inside. I remember that. And dark on the wings, and they said, as soon as you hear your name, walk out. And
what did you put? Did you change? Did you?
No, I wore boardies.
Yeah.
And a Huffer t-shirt.
So good.
Yeah.
What was it? What was his reaction to the?
He didn't actually. He might have. I'm not sure whether he said, "Who are you wearing?"
I remember saying it, but it's years ago.
Yeah, it was. It was actually the second longest interview he did in that entire season. The only one longer was with Barack Obama. Which is fucking pretty cool, eh? Yeah. And funnily enough, in true to form, as soon as they finally, because there was people giving it this one, off the side of the stage, like wrap it up.
Big hook.
Well, it's because but he was driving it, of course. Like he was a pro. I was just answering the questions and talking shit. But of course, I think the advertising revenue that they would have lost for that. It went 2.5 minutes over, which equates to tens of thousands of dollars of lost money.
Yeah, right.
Because they have to shorten the ad breaks, you see.
Probably hundreds.
Yeah, so a lot of, for that show. There was a lot of money. He didn't give a shit. He just wanted to keep asking questions.
They're not going to stop sponsoring the show.
Yeah, but as soon as they cut it for commercial break, the first thing he said is, I've been such a big fan of yours for a long time. And I was like, really? Everyone's been saying that. And I just thought they were trying to make me feel better. And he goes, No. He said, I just wanted to get you on. You look like a fun guy. And then I think when we made small talk, he said he's got to come to New Zealand one day. I offered him he could crash at my place and we could have a barbie.
And go out for a fish.
Yeah. He hasn't phoned though.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was that experience.
He's getting on.
Yeah. So that was that experience, and it was
classic.
And like I say, it was out of body that when we were about to walk outside and it was over and done with, and I wasn't shaking. I was just pumped. And relieved. Yeah. And they said to me, look, these guys are going to have to help you. We'll help you get back to your hotel room, which was straight across the. And I said to these big security guys, "Sweet as boys, we can carry these, as in the bags of the bags of food." And she said, "Oh no, you're going to need them."
Just like that.
No, she said, "No, you're going to need them." I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, the paparazzi are waiting for you." And I was like, "No." And she said, "Yep, they're waiting out there. And there's autograph hunters." And I was just like, "Fucking no
shit."
But then, just in case. I passed everything to Kayleen because I didn't want to be photographed stealing, being the first guest to ever leave with fucking 2 bottles of piss. And
great.
So anyway, the doors open and everyone was just shouting my name at me to try and get me to look at them. And flashes were going off and it was blinding, and I just sucked in this air and it was so cold. The flight was -6 or -8 or something outside, and it shook me to a still. My ears started ringing. And it was like, fuck, am I here? Like, is this actually happening? Like, it was the most, and what?
So you're live you're on television, you're live, and then instantly you're a star.
Well,
in New York.
I think so. So obviously that was my first television appearance, but those hundreds of millions of views on YouTube are people largely from the US. So. Well, I was looking at it going, well, it's just kind of a number, that are racking up on these viral videos. They were real people. And so even when we arrived in New York, they had people come and take us around security. Like, we still had to get our passports stamped and everything.
Yeah.
And then into a limo. I was in a holy fucking limo. And then, so this is building more pressure. Like, these guys are spent a whole bunch of fucking money, and I've got to.
So he was promoting you then clearly on how long before?
No, I think only the day of. Like, I think.
But then that's how powerful.
Yeah. But I think it's like, well, to be honest, hey, there was Isla Fisher was a guest. It was supposed to be Scarlett Johansson, but she pulled. And she was doing, I think, the same movie as it was being filmed in New York, and so they subbed her out with Isla Fisher because she was doing a scene or something, and I was a bit bummed about that. But anyway, hey, and Lil Wayne, the rapper, he did the top 10. So most of those autograph hunters and paps were probably there for them, to be fair, but they definitely were shouting my name. They weren't going, "Oh, Wayne, hang on, Wayne, you got a bit white."
Yeah.
And
where's your shoes?
I really don't think it was just like, oh, here's this famous guy from New Zealand. I think it was, you're on the Late Show. You must be somebody.
On the Late Show.
You must be somebody. Some of them may have seen me on YouTube. I don't know, but to me,
but also you were on the Late Show.
Yeah.
So straight away, it doesn't goddamn matter who you are in some respects, because they would have seen the TV.
You've been qualified, I suppose, by them, I guess. But it was just like literally...
That is nuts.
48 hours before that, I was down a gravel road in Taco Bay, running my pig dogs of the section, and if someone went past, I'd be lucky to get a "Chur, Matty. Oh, up to, bro? What are you up to this weekend?" And then you're in that madness.
What happened when you got back? As in, was it recognition by the network?
No, I actually, it took a little while. So I honestly thought, because I'd seen a lot of stories myself, local Kiwi does good overseas. New Zealanders generally love that. But there was no story on the news in New Zealand. I was lead story in Aussie. And they called me on one of the networks, and I was one of the main stories on Channel 7 and Channel 9, I can't remember. One of them claimed me as an Australian. The other one said down under sensation.
Down under, yeah.
But at least they claimed me.
Yeah.
New Zealand media didn't claim me. They didn't even make a news item. And it wasn't, I think, until it was 60 Minutes New Zealand, I think, got in touch and did a piece, and then I think Campbell Live at the time. So I did some pieces afterwards, and which I appreciated the attention, because of course that helps
the show.
It helps builds the show, helps my sponsors, and that was the business that I was in. But yeah, I've got to say, it's not sour grapes, but I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised because,
biggest talk show host in the world.
And I loved it myself. You see a Kiwi, a Kiwi's in LA, and they've invented a thing, a cup holder that's being used by David Hasselhoff, or just anything like that. And go Kiwi, and I'm always that guy, and I still love those stories, like go Kiwi, Kiwi. So I just thought, well, the media will think the same. But eventually, I guess they kind of came around to it. But I guess that's all the same people that thought I wasn't good enough for breakfast TV.
Probably.
Yeah,
mate. So, what's the next 5 years look like?
Still making fishing media.
Yeah.
Obviously on our Ultimate Fishing platform. I'm actually actively recruiting or looking for some new talent. Just some people that are have got good energy, good set of skills.
How are we going to go? Shall I apply?
No, you shouldn't. Just because you're too big for us, Murph, and I couldn't afford you. I couldn't afford you.
Maybe I need a seat.
I couldn't afford you. No, mate, you're too good at what you do.
What the fuck is that?
I'm letting you down gently, Murph. Can't you see what I'm doing?
I don't know what to think now.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
So hopefully we'll bring on some more talent. I guess it's part of it is like it's been so bloody good to me, and I feel like I've got a lot of knowledge to impart to not just in fishing. Like, this is a better way to catch fish, and I'm quite experienced at that. But there's loads of young people out there, like on Instagram, on Facebook, probably more so Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, making some really good shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like they could they could probably advance their business side of it and get some business relationships and amplify that a little bit better, because the talent and passion is definitely there. So I'm like, I don't want to take what I've learned about the business to the grave with me.
Yeah, right.
So that's something that I'm going to be looking at doing. I'm always going to be tied up with Legacy and Kaika and Free Fish Heads, the charitable, I guess, organisations, community projects that I'm passionate about. Because foremostly, nothing works if our ocean isn't healthy. So I'm going to stay involved in that. I've started a beer company, Swordfish Mojo. So I'm brewing my own beer now. Well, the recipe's mine. It's the first beer in the world to have salt water in it. So we've almost been. We went on sale end of November last year, and it's been a hell of a learning curve, man. I tell you. So,
I bet
the
it
business,
is. Yeah,
the business of it all. Because I've never sold a hard product.
Yeah.
I've never said, here's a product. And man, did I think I was going to be dealing with trucking companies and chilled freight? I just thought I'd be drinking beer and cracking jokes, having a few tins. So it's been a big learning curve, but and that's linked into what I do. And so we got salt water in the beer. So this is our unique point. It's actually a low carb lager, it's been very popular, good beer. But the whole salt water piece is about, I gather it myself for every brew, and it gets sent down to Hamilton where we brew.
Oh, wow.
I gather the salt water right on peak bite time. And I don't know if you recall when you're out with me, I'm like, right, we've got to hit this time.
Yeah, I remember.
And we were there a bit early, and I said, everything's going to come alive. They'll start biting. And it does. And so something magical happens in the sea
at that time,
at bite time. So we take that bit of magic and we put it in the brew. And the story there is like that magic's going to bioaccumulate within you and make you better at fishing, right? Because you've got the actual bite time coursing through your veins. So that's
awesome.
That is the mojo in Swordfish Mojo. And then
is that the only beer that's allowed to be drunk on the boat now?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
Like if I'm going broke because of this venture, I wanted to get out there. Everyone's going to have to
be a part of it.
Yeah, everyone else has got to be a part of it. But our byline is, we've got a couple. One got us in trouble. But our main mantra is of the sea, by the sea, and for the sea. So it's made of the sea because it's got the sea in it. By the sea is my brewery's right by the sea out at our place where it was first invented, but it's for the sea. So we give a kickback to Legacy that looks after the ocean. So I kind of say to blokes, well, you want to look after the ocean because that ocean's going in your beer. And then when you drink the beer, it looks after the ocean. Circular. Boom. Holy shit, man. So,
woo!
Yep. So there, and
I've got to try me some of that now.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking to the right guy.
Yeah, I'll give you my address.
Yeah, mate. Yes, sweet as well. We don't do. I'm sure there's a bar down the road that'll be pouring it. In fact, I know a couple.
I'm being forced to do another bloody podcast after this. Yeah. It's not going to be as good as this one.
Takeaways.
You must have some stuff, locked away in the archives that will never see the light of day.
Oh, absolutely. Career-ending shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like guys on boats drinking beer, loose lips.
Wow.
Just completely forgetting they're wearing a microphone. And
have you thought about just going into the bribery?
No, because that cuts both ways. That
can do. True that.
Cuts both ways. I'll tell you a funny anecdote, which is along those bribery lines, and read into it what you will. I went down to do a store opening or a store extension in hunting and fishing in Christchurch, and it just so happened to be that there was a Crusaders game that night. I think it was a semi-final. They were playing the Hurricanes, and I'm a Chiefs man, hard out Chiefs man, and I'd been taking the ABs fishing, through since 2012, so I got to know a lot of them, and a lot of them, of course, are Crusaders. Bugger it, because they're very good. Bugger it. But anyway,
what do you do?
So we have a bit of banter. Anyway, so I get my tickets, I think, from Rito. Got me some tickets, and they were corporate box tickets. So I'm like, thanks, Rito. You beauty. So the stadium there was their temporary one. Like you
That's
climb
the
up.
time. That's the time where you sort of forget about your love of Chiefs.
Yeah, no,
just take whatever you can.
Yeah, I'll take the tickets, but I'm not gonna support the Crusaders. I'm just gonna go for the free beers.
Yeah, but you know.
Oh no! I mean, you know, remember the All Blacks. We're all one nation, right?
Oh,
we're all one nation in the All
that.
Blacks. You know, so anyway, I hit up Rito for some tickets, and he kindly gave me some. But then when I get up to go into the corporate box, the security guy goes, "Oh, put this on," and he holds out a Crusaders jersey. And he goes, "I'm under strict instructions from Sam Whitelock that you're not allowed in here until you put it on." I'm like, "Haha, good one, mate." Go to push past him, and he's and it's friggin' raining out, and it's freezing cold. I'm like, "How long do I have to keep it on for?" And he just said, "Look, all I've been told, you do what you want, is that once you put it on, you can come in." So I'm like, "Okay, sweet, this will be easy." Yeah. So I pull on this Crusaders jersey. I take one step inside and there's three people. Photos. This is before the game started. One of them must have got sent down to the sheds because straight away I get a text of that photo coming back to my phone from, I think, Sam Whitelock or one of the boys, and was saying, "Oh, nice jersey, Matt. Do you want me to tag you in it when I post it?" And I just text back very quickly, "I've got some photos from the shearers' quarters, like on our farm when we've all been on the piss."
Boom.
And I just got a one-word text back, "Truce." It was like two nuclear-armed countries.
Just, okay.
Like aiming their nukes. It's like, okay, you pull the trigger, man. It's
coming back the other way.
We're all dying. You know, we're all going to go down. If you post that, me in a Crusaders jersey, we're all going down.
Forgot about that, eh?
Yeah.
Forgot about the tapes.
Yeah. That's right. So,
boom, the power.
Yeah, but anyone out there that's ever been filming with me, you're safe. All of the chats that happen on the boat,
make any threats.
They'll stay on the boat.
Yeah. What goes on the boat
stays on the boat. Yeah. You know, like
as long as no one comes at you with anything.
Oh, exactly. I'm nuclear armed.
It's all good.
Yeah, I'm a nuclear.
Shit, that's good. Right, that's a good place to move on. We've got just a little bit left to go.
Okay, mate.
Okay, mate. This is the tough stuff right now. You've given us your story, but this is where it gets hard. This is where. Are you prepared to actually be in the driver's seat, Matt?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
Yes, I am.
Alrighty, Matt. Driving is one of those everyday things we take for granted, but it's also one of the riskiest things that we do every day. That's where AutoSense comes in, helping Kiwis stay smart, stay safe, and stay alive on our roads. So before we wrap, I've got a few quick-fire questions for you. Are you ready to jump into the driver's seat? Now, buddy, get up early in the mornings. Early starts, like you've been editing late night, early starts to get back out, start do some more filming. It can be pretty brutal.
Yep.
Fatigue.
Yep.
You been fatigued?
Yes, I have. Yeah. Yeah.
And been driving?
Yeah, I've fallen asleep behind the wheel.
Right.
Yep. Young fella again, so inexperienced. I think I was 17 or 18, going. Worked a week. It's like right when I sort of started roofing, so I'd worked all week, and then just wanted to crash out on the couch. Mate says waves are pumping at Port Waikato, surfboards in the back, barrel down there, surf until dark, knackered, and the plan was to sleep in the ute until my mate got too cold in the back of the ute, woke me up and says, "You got to drive us back. I'm frozen. I'm going to die of hypothermia." So we'd not gone 5 minutes, and I think it was I hadn't woken up properly. And basically, I had a pillow and a duvet piled up next to me on the bench seat of the old Falcon ute that I had then, and I just leaned on it, and mate, I was out like a light, and I awoke to hitting the ditch and hit the picks, and between the brakes and a couple of trees stopped us ending up in the Waikato River. So it was a close call and a real wake up, and of course, young, like I wouldn't have thought in a million years I could possibly fall asleep when you're driving. Like I was like, why you're driving? You wouldn't fall asleep. Didn't matter how tired you got. I did. Yep.
And that was just one thing after the other through a week. Bloody not getting on top of stuff.
Tired and just not even giving it a second thought. Not even thinking that it was a remote possibility that I could fall asleep while I was driving. And it didn't help that as soon as we started driving, my mate just decided he'd crash out.
Of course. No support.
So, Yep. So totally his fault, of course. No, Oh, no.
No. So that lesson's probably stuck with you forever.
It has stuck with me, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has stuck with me. I'd say the closest I've ever got and given myself an uppercut was when, I was crewing on boats and I'd get that night off and I'd started work up in the Bay of Islands. Kaylin was still in Auckland. So I was like, well, I'll scoot down back to Auckland for the night to see my girlfriend and then scoot back up the next day. So after long chat, not ideal to be driving. And I didn't have any close calls, didn't doze off, but I would go, I must be coming up to Kaiwaka soon. And it would be Warkworth. And I can't remember. I've driven through two towns and I cannot remember them. I'm like, holy shit, that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good. So a couple of times I just pull
Park her
over,
up.
go to sleep, have a sleep, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty easy, eh? Easy
it
to
is.
happen. Easy to happen. Yeah.
Yep. So, touch wood. The worst that happened, well, I got that wake up call when I was a young fella. So,
probably distractions behind the wheel are a big thing, but bloody, have you distracted behind the wheel of the boat and bloody had any mishaps, mate?
No, I haven't.
You haven't crashed into a concrete ramp or?
No, I drove a jet ski into a pylon on the Waikato River.
Yeah,
it was the first time I'd been on a jet ski, and it was because the sponsors said, "Oh, can you go out? We've got this new model out. It's super fast. We want you to go and catch a fish on it." I said, "Yeah, okay, sweet. I'll go catch a marlin on it." Having never rid a jet ski, and of course with a jet unit. If you've got no power on you, can't turn. You can't turn. So I was like, okay, and it was just natural instinct for me. Okay, there's a concrete pylon there. I better button off, and then no steering, stove the front of it in. And when I wasn't hurt. There was the jet ski got a crunch, but because it was a brand new one that needed to get fixed, they sent it to a boat builder. And I'm thinking, sponsors, I've been really good to these guys. They were like, I'm like, I'll pay for it, fully thinking they're going to go. Don't worry, Matt. You've been amazing, Matt, and we've asked you to do this as a favour.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I get a $6,500 repair bill for it, and then I go out 2 days later, catch a marlin on a jet ski, and it becomes viral around the world, and they sell jet skis everywhere, and I've still got
still got the bill.
I've still got the friggin' bill, and they're like, "Cheers, Matty, this has gone better than we could have imagined. We thought you might
me, it hasn't.
We thought you might catch a snapper off of it and like get a few thousand people to watch. Like it's anyway."
Funny.
I've never vented that to anyone. That's the first time. I'm glad I got that off my chest.
Right here on this on my podcast. Yeah. That's great. Thanks very much. You've tackled just about everything there is on water. What rattles you most on the roads?
Speed.
People.
Yeah, speed. People coming towards you fast and on the wrong side. Like just that whole. I've just seen such dumb shit on the roads, and it worries me for me. It worries me for my kids as well. Like your children are your most precious, and even like at 20 and 23, you worry about it because, like I said, I made mistakes when I was driving because I was young, out of inexperience, and the chat that I had with my daughter was we were driving along one day, and she was been driving for years, had been on a full license. And it was an 80k zone, and someone starts pulling out of their driveway, and she just carries on like normal. Like they stopped, and I said, "What if they pulled out?" She said they would have been in the wrong. And I said, "That doesn't help you when you're in a wheelchair, eating through a straw."
They might still be wrong, but yeah,
there were that small comfort that they were wrong. I said, "Your right foot should have been hovering over the brake for a couple of seconds at least until you were certain they weren't going to pull out." And it's like, well. And she actually thought it was ridiculous what I was suggesting. And I'm like, am I turning into a nana? But I've just seen so many people do dumb shit and at high speed on the open road.
Because they don't know.
That we share. And like,
just don't know.
And it's usually bloody young. I do sound like an old whinging Wowser now, don't I? But that rattles me, man. Like, I've had some cars whistle past and I've thought to myself, what if I'd left home, 5 seconds earlier or later,
totally.
I would have met that guy on that blind corner. And I've gone, so, the we live quite a way out of town and our daughter lives in town. The first thing I say to her is every corner expects someone to be on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
Just think that every corner.
Couldn't say it better myself. That's, every time you speak to groups of young kids, you go, if you take one piece of advice from me, it's like expect every other person on the road is going to do the thing you least expect them to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you've got to be ready all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a big part of why we do have so many crashes on this road, because people just think, okay, I'm doing the right thing, so I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But that's just not the case. You talk about people come around the corner on the wrong side of the road. I'm driving along, minding my own business, someone comes around the corner. If you're not, not that you can expect it, but if you're just not ready or thinking further ahead about it, the difference could be, life and death. So, yeah. What advice would you pass on to our young drivers out there starting, beginning the journey from a man with so much experience?
Exactly that. Just exactly what you said. Expect that everyone is going to be doing the wrong thing, and that going that little bit faster for the massive increase, massive increase of risk to get there 1 minute earlier, maybe 2 minutes. It's not life changing. Like what's life changing is having
not getting there at all.
Yeah, is your back being broken or your neck being broken. It's hard, like I've got to say, when I was a young fella, I didn't really pay too much attention to what my parents had to say when I was 17 or 18. Maybe a little bit more than most, but yeah, it's a hard one to cut through. So because I'm not your dad, maybe listen to me. And, and my advice is listen to your dad, and don't be in such a hurry.
Yeah, that's good. It's good advice, my friend. This has been awesome. We've only, an hour and a half.
Good effort.
Yeah, it's a bloody good effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we must cut it off somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for your time, brother.
Cheers, bro.
It's been awesome catching up.
Has been.
Doesn't happen enough, eh?
No, next one will be on a boat.
Yeah.
Couple of tins.
Let's lock it in.
Swordfish Mojo.
Roger that.
There you go. Done. Deal.
Done. There's a little, and we're going to keep that plug in. We're going to keep that in.
Oh, no, you don't have to, mate.
What do you mean? Of course we're going to.
You don't have to. I'll just never come back if you take it out.
And as always, it's a big thanks to my mates at AutoSense. They are helping to keep Kiwi drivers safer on our roads every day. If you're needing help with your commercial fleet safety solutions, check them out at autosense.co.nz. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, hit follow and flick it to a mate or two, and we'll see you next time for another spin in the driver's seat.